Alright guys, now let's just start designing the sign in and sign up page. So I'm going to create two files in the source directory. In the pages folder we can see a pages directory in the source directory, so I'm gonna create two different files. The first one is for sign up and the second one is for sign in, and I'm gonna create the components for those two pages. And I'm gonna copy this thing and paste that in signup.jsx, and I'm gonna rename the component name to this. Alright, now let's show some text here to make sure the content is visible when you visit the page. Alright, now we need to add a URL pattern for the sign up page and the sign in page. I'm going to duplicate this by pressing the Ctrl Shift and down arrow key, and here I'm going to say when you see the sign up URL endpoint, it should return the sign up component that we have created in the signup.jsx file. So I'm going to type this and hit enter, and it will get imported. And I'm going to import the sign in component, and when I visit the sign in URL endpoint, it should return the sign in component that I created in the signin.jsx file. So I'm going to import that. This is how we import something if it did not import automatically. So we need to say pages. We need to put the path to the JSX file which contains the component that we created. So in this case, sign in. Alright, now let's visit these two URL endpoints to check if we get the content that we have put in those two components, sign in and sign up. Let's visit that. I'm gonna head over to the browser, and I'm going to visit this sign up URL. The URL endpoint is wrong. There we go. We see the sign up page, sign up later. There we go. We see the sign up text, and let's visit the sign in URL endpoint. There you go. We see the sign in text. All right. Now the components render the content in them, and now let's start creating the forms that we use to register and log in user. First, I selected the sign up page. In here, in this row, I'm going to provide some bootstrap class names. I want to make this row to get the entire width of the screen and also entire height of the screen. And if I do that, let me change this URL endpoint to sign up. Then you can see the content of the component that we render when we use the sign up URL pattern get the screen height and the screen width, so we have a lot of space available in here. If we didn't set the height of this component to the height of the screen, actually it will only expand, it'll only get the height to only show the content, and the footer will appear on the screen, but we don't want to do that. I just want to include only the header in this on the screen. I don't want to show the footer when the page get loaded. I want to focus the user to the form that user want to fill in. Alright, now let's create the form actually. Alright, I want to make the form a little bit smaller. I don't want the form to take the entire width and entire height of the screen, so I'm going to use some column to limit the width of the form. So I'm going to say if it is an extra small screen size, I want to get 11 columns to render the form, and all the screen sizes from the medium screen size, it should take only 6 columns to render the form. And I'm going to add some bootstrap class to this column too. I'm going to add padding of 3. That'll be enough, I think. And I want to make the corner rounded, and I'm going to write some inline CSS to set the background color to a transparent one. I will select the background color as black, and this will give some more transparency to the black color. And yeah, we'll see how it looks like. I think, yeah, the column is not imported, so I'm going to import that here. Then it should fix that rendering issue. Alright, there you go. You see some grayish area in here, so that's the column that we have styled. Alright, now I'm gonna set the height of it to auto, and it will not actually it's not working. Alright, I'm going to add some padding Y to this main container of the form. Something like that. Alright, now I want to set the background image that I got from ChatGPT onto this row tag, because it gets the entire width of the screen and the height of the screen, so we can set the background image that. I'm gonna write some inline CSS to do that. I will say background image, and I put backticks. Within those backticks, I'm gonna say URL and put the dollar sign and open and close the curly braces. Inside these curly braces, we wanna put the path to the image. So I'm gonna import the image from in here. I would say sign up. I'm in sign up.js file. I'm gonna say sign up background image, and I want to import the image from the asset directory. I'm gonna provide the relative path to the assets folder, and in there I have this image, I think. Let's see. Yeah, this is the image that I'm going to use for the registration. So I'm going to right click on that and click on rename, Control A to select the file name with the extension, copy that, paste that in here. Alright, now I can use this variable to place the image path in here. Sign up background image, and if you open the page, you will see the background image is set. You see that? Alright, now we need to edit that form a little bit, because the height of the form is way more than I expected. I'm going to change the height of it. Let's add the content without caring about the height, and then let's change the height later. Alright, I'm going to add one label, which is the first name of the user, and I'm going to duplicate that. Last name, username, password, password, I missed one thing here, which is the phone number. Alright, now I'm going to add the input fields to enter this data, and I'm gonna install them using bootstrap classes. I want every input field to have this form control class from bootstrap. Actually, we need to get one more thing, which is email. You can actually customize this form, get the data that you want. I just get this all data. And for the password fields, make sure that you change this type attribute in the input tag to password to make sure we get the password. Otherwise, the password will be visible like in normal text. So for the email, make sure that you change this type to email. And in the labels, I'm going to add some bootstrap class. So the class that I'm going to use is form label, and also I want to say text to white, because the form background is form background has a shade of black, so the text shouldn't be black, it should be white, then we can see the text easily. I think I better decrease the width of the form a little bit in the larger screen sizes. I will go for 5. Yeah, that's enough. And after that, actually I'm going to grab them in a row. Alright, now I have indented those, and I'm going to add some components down here. First one that I'm going to add is the button, and button says sign up. I'm going to style that button with this bootstrap class BTN primary. And about that button, actually I wanna, if I didn't put these CSS classes, bootstrap classes, the button will take the entire width of the row. To prevent the button getting the entire width of the row, I put this bootstrap class to make sure the width is set to auto, and then I want to push that button to the right side. I'm going to use this class, justify content to the end, because as a default this row display property is set to flex, and the flex direction is row, so we can use justify content and bootstrap class to align the item in this row horizontally. So we're pushing the button to the right side. There you see that. Okay, now let's give some padding from top to that button, to that row which contains the button, to get some space from the text fields. Okay, now done. Now we need to push this form to the center of the screen. As you can see, and the form gets 5 columns in the larger screen sizes and 6 columns in the medium screen sizes. So the the parent, root element of this component is a row. Inside that we have the form container. So what we can do, row has the display property set to flex, and the flex direction, default direction is row. We can use justify content CSS class to align the items horizontally. Alright, now it should be in the center. There we go. And let's set the height now. I think 75 will fix that. It's not. I'll say height should be auto. idea why that happened. Okay, let's put this class. It should to me. Oh yeah, it is. Alright, the thing that I did is I just added this align item center to the root component of this component, sign up component. Then it adjusted the height. Okay, now we need to actually I increased the amount of padding that we have in this form. And now I'm going to move this first name and the last name fields into two different columns like this. I'm going to divide this row into two different columns, and in all the screen sizes it should be like that. That row should be split into two columns in all screen sizes. So I'm gonna put this first name in the first column and the last name in the second column. And I'm going to copy this thing. Sorry, I'm gonna move that, not copy. Done. Okay. From height got a little bit decreased. Actually, I'm going to set the padding of the root component of this component to these classes. I can remove the padding from top. Yeah, that's fine. And as you can see, the first name and the last name row is not wider as this username and email. You see some gap here. This first name and last name, the row that contains the first name and last name fields actually push the content to the inside, so we see some space here. Let's do that. Let's do the same for this username, email, phone, and password, and confirm password. The reason that we get this first name and last name fields pushed into the container because we use the columns. When you use the column component, it actually adds some padding from the start and the end, so that's why we see some space in here and here. Let's do that to the username, or you can add column. You can wrap these fields with the column component, or there's one way that you can do by using the bootstrap CSS classes. The thing that you can do by using bootstrap CSS classes is adding some padding in the x-axis, like I would say 3. Now you see the email field get pushed from both sides. So I'm going to use padding in x-axis too. No, we can't get it. I stick with this approach, because when you use the padding, actually it won't give us the correct padding as column does. So I'm gonna stick with this. I'm gonna wrap all the fields that are created inside rows with column. Alright, now I've done that. Now all the fields are aligned perfectly. I don't know why this sign up button came to the left, so I'm gonna move that to the right here. Oh yeah, I see that, because I wrapped that inside a column. I'm gonna remove this, and I will give some padding from the end. Say 3. That's fine. Alright, I need to increase the padding that I apply from the top a little bit. Alright, you can show a welcome message at the top of the form. Actually, we can ask from ChatGPT to give some text if you want, but let's just say let's ask ChatGPT to generate some text for us. Yeah, let's place this one, create your account text. And I'm going to add some bootstrap classes to make the text a little bit bigger. And I'm going to make the font weight bold. Yeah, and that's fine. And I'm going to make the text color is white. Okay. And I'm going to add some padding from bottom. I can decrease the padding that we apply from the bottom. No, here. Okay. I'll just put 3. It's fine. I would say padding from Y should be 3 and the padding from X should be 5. And that's cool. I'm going to decrease this a bit. That's nice. Or I'll stick with this form. You can add some placeholders if you want for these form fields, but I'm not gonna use that. If you need to know how do I do that, let me show you by doing that for one field. We use placeholder attribute, and in here we can put a placeholder that you want to show in the form field. See that? But it's not editable. When you type something, it get cleared up, and when the input field is empty, it'll become visible. You can do that if you want, but I'm not going to do that for this form. I just stick with the blank background without any placeholders. Alright, now this is the form that we have created to register the user. Now let's create the form that we use to log in the user. Alright, so we need to head over to signin.jsx file. This is the file that we define our sign-in component, which contains the login form. Now I'm going to copy some fields from here, because to if you need to log in the user, actually user can in this case, in our application, I make the user to enter the email and the password to sign in. So I'm going to copy these things. I just copied the phone, but I can remove it once I pasted that in here. I'm going to remove this, and I need to actually copy the form container. So I'm going to copy that, paste that in here. I do this because in order to save development time. You can also do that once you are perfectly confident in creating something and you don't want to redo that again, you can just copy the previous code that you've written and paste it. Okay, what error I'm getting? Alright, I haven't imported the column. It should be fine. Oh, I want to remove this. There you go. Alright, now we have the email field and the password field. I want to add the sign in button, so I'm going to copy this sign up button and paste that in here. We'll rename the button to sign in. It should look good. Let's visit the sign in page. Alright, this is how it looks like. We wanna do some changes for the root element in this sign in component. I'm going to add these two classes, these bootstrap classes, as I did for the sign up page. I wanna make this row to get the entire width of the screen and entire height of the viewport, and I'm going to move the form to the center, and I'm going to align the form to the center vertically. Alright, done. This is how it looks like, and I'm going to put some text content in the top of the form, something like welcome back. I'm going to say the font size should be 2 and font weight should be bold. Alright, and the text color also should be white, because the background is black. When we set the white text, it will be visible perfectly. Alright, now we have set the form text color to white and we created the sign-in form. Now there's one thing which we haven't done yet, setting the background image to this sign-in page. To do that, I'm going to add the background image to this row component, which is the main element in the sign-in component. So I'm going to write some inline CSS. I'm going to copy the inline CSS that I've written in the sign up component, and I'm going to paste that in here. Instead of using sign up background image, I'm going to use sign in background image. I want to import that. Make sure when you use any type of variable like that, you create that variable or you import that thing. I'm going to say sign in. I'm going to copy this and paste that in here, and from, actually I want to add this image. I think I want to import that image from the assets directory. There we go. Let's see the page. Oh, actually that's not the image that I'm looking for. Yeah, this is the image that I was looking for. And I'm gonna copy the file name with the extension. I'm gonna paste that instead of this file name. Alright, let's view the page. There you go. See that it says welcome back, and it asks us to enter the email and the password, and we have the sign in button. Alright, now we're done designing sign in and sign up pages. Now let's move to creating the chat room and styling that page.